Who won the Trae Luka trade? Let's get into this. In the 2018 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks actually selected Luka Doncic, but traded him down on draft day to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for Trae Young and another first-round pick in the future. Of course, it was very early in both of their careers, so nobody knew who really won that NBA trade at that point, and we would just have to see as the years went on. But I think at this point, enough years went by and we could really determine who won this trade. So what was the actual deal? The official deal was the Atlanta Hawks got Trae Young, but they also got a future first-round pick for the year after, which turned into DeAndre Hunter. So DeAndre Hunter and Trae Young for Luka Doncic was the official trade. Now let's start with DeAndre Hunter. So DeAndre Hunter was coming into the league, he was seen as a pretty decent draft pick, and early on in his career he struggled a little bit. He wasn't bad, he was just okay, but for a number 4 overall pick you're expecting a little bit more. But as the seasons went on, and especially in the playoffs this season, the time that he actually was on the floor, he was playing pretty well. He was a guy who was just getting buckets at that small forward position. He could hit those catch and shoot jump shots. He's just playing his role extremely well for them. DeAndre Hunter this season especially has been able to create a shot to some extent, but not as much as you would potentially like to see from a 4th overall pick. But as the seasons went on, he's been improving every single season, so you would hope maybe we can see something a little bit more out of this guy in the future. But at this point, he's just a starting level talent in this league, which is not bad. It's a pretty good thing to have. And he's just a guy who can hit those catch and shoot threes. He's a decent defender, and he can also create his own shot at times. But he's definitely not a star at this point in his career. But hopefully in the future he can get to that point. But now let's move on to Trae Young. So I think before this offseason and how well Trae Young has played in the playoffs and how Trae Young was able to take this Atlanta Hawks team to the Eastern Conference Finals, which nobody expected coming into the season, everybody really thought that this was more of a one-sided deal and Luka Doncic was obviously the better player and the Dallas Mavericks kind of fleeced the Atlanta Hawks. But after seeing this playoff performance for Trae Young and how far he was actually able to take his team, I think this conversation is reopened and now it's a real conversation. So let's talk about Trae Young. What does Trae Young do well and how was he able to take his team so far in the playoffs? So of course we all know Trae Young's a great shooter. That's how he got his name and that's how he got all his comparisons to Steph Curry. He hits those deep 3-point shots and he can shoot from anywhere on the floor. But that's not where really his game took to the next level. Just shooting those 3-point shots from very deep he was able to do in his rookie season. But what really took his game to the next level is getting into the paint. After a few seasons, Trae Young realized he can get to the basket and put up that floater, or he can also throw a lob to his center for an easy dunk as well. He has a very unique ball handling and very quickness to get by people, so it's very difficult for people to stay in front of him like we've seen in this playoff series. I mentioned this in other of my videos, but when Trae Young's able to get by his defender pretty easily due to that quickness and ball handling, he has that same motion and doesn't figure out what he's going to do until the last second. He can either put up that floater or he can throw that lob in the same motion. And that's what really took his game to the next level, and he's able to help his team way more by doing that than just chucking up those 3-point shots, which he could hit, but it wasn't still a very high percentage shot. And he still does that in the playoffs, but I think he's way more effective when he gets all the way to the basket. And we've seen in these playoffs, he's just doing that time and time again, and nobody can stop it. The Knicks weren't able to stop it in the first round, the Sixers weren't able to stop it in the second round, and we see the Bucks, they're not able to stop it either in this third round. Nobody's able to stop it. That just shows you how effective this guy is at doing this. And I didn't even mention the ability that Trae Young has to draw fouls. I know a lot of people get annoyed with it, and sometimes I do as well, but you have to admit it's a pretty good talent that he has. He has that talent to know when the defender's behind him and jump back into him and draw that foul. That's just how the NBA is right now, and he's just taking advantage of it. He also has that ability to know when the defender puts his hands by the ball, he can swipe his arms right up and draw a foul like that. He's just great at drawing fouls, and when you get to the line at that percentage of shooter that he is, you're helping out your team tremendously. But Trae Young's brilliance on the offensive end doesn't stop there. Obviously, I said he's great with those lobs and floaters. He could also hit those deep 3-point shots and create for himself at the 3-point line, of course. But what also is another thing that helps out his team and teammates a lot is also his ability to pass. He doesn't only have that lob in his arsenal. He can get all the way to the basket, and maybe if the team brings in an extra defender in there, he notices that it can easily kick out to that wide open shooter, and he has shooters all around him, so they're more likely than not going to hit those 3-point shots. He has that ability that I mentioned with a few players where he can see plays before they happen, and he can pass the ball to that advanced spot and get that guy either a wide open dunk, layup, layup or a wide open 3-point shot. He's just a great playmaker in this league. Trae Young's ability on the offensive end is just brilliant to describe it in one word. He can literally do everything on the offensive end. He can score for himself efficiently. He can get buckets for other teammates very efficiently as well. He just does everything on the offensive end. Of course, on the defensive end, he's not a great defender, but that doesn't matter as much when you're that good on the offensive end. In all three of these playoff series that the Hawks have been in this season, the Hawks were able to effectively hide Trae Young on the offense, or on the defensive end, I should say. In the first round, they put him on Reggie Bullock. In the second round, they put him on Danny Green. And in the third round, they're putting him on PJ Tucker. All guys that are just 3-point shooters and can create for themselves. So it makes it an easier matchup defensively for Trae Young. But now let's move on to Luka Doncic. We all know what Luka Doncic could do. We see him in every single season and every single playoff series. He's just straight up brilliant. He's not a guy who's super athletic or is particularly quick, which is more impressive more than anything that he's this good in the NBA. He's just super skillful. He can do everything on the offensive end. Similar to Trae Young, he has amazing playmaking abilities. He can see guys in wide open spots when it's very difficult to see. He can pass in every passing lane and passing angle very easily and makes it look easy, even when they're difficult passes to make. But also in terms of his scoring ability, he can hit that 3-point shot pretty effectively. He can create for himself and get to that mid-range spot and hit those jump shots. He can get all the way to the basket and put up a floater, or get all the way and dunk over people or finish around them with layups. Or he also has a little bit of a post-up game where he learned from Dirk Nowitzki that turnaround fadeaway off one leg, which he's been pretty effective at as well. And he also has pretty good footwork in the post as well. He can literally do everything on that end. And I think this guy is one of the most talented players on the offensive end that we have. On the defensive end as well, similar to Trae Young, he's not as bad as Trae Young on the defensive end, but he's obviously not a good defender on the defensive end. But again, it doesn't really matter that much when you're that talented offensively. And we've seen in these playoffs, unlike Trae Young where he had a decent amount of help, Luka Doncic basically had no help in these playoffs, and he almost took his team over the Clippers, who are currently in the Western Conference Finals right now in a 3-2 matchup. So it just shows the type of talent this guy really is. So overall in this trade, at this point, even though Trae Young has been playing extremely well in these playoffs and really opened a lot of eyes, I think it's a lot closer now than it was in the past, but I really can't say that Luka Doncic didn't win this trade. I think he's just too good, and the Dallas Mavericks definitely won this trade at this point. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks won this trade, or do you disagree and think Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks actually won this trade just based on how well he's been playing in the playoffs? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe and hit that post notification bell. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out, guys.